this was supposed to be a very quick project with just a couple of pallets. It turned into 7, but first, let me tell you about this container. Right, the shipping container. So, we are moving. Loose plan, next workshop is going to be a shipping container. Now, because I probably won't cut this long story short, let me start this project. This video is all about building something out of 7 pallets. So let's get that underway with all the usual things that I do to get pallets prepared and turned into usable timber. Eric, he's my father-in-law. He's the bloke that keeps standing in front of the camera while I'm trying to get the nice shipping container arrival shots. Eric's boss is getting rid of a container. He said we could pretty much have it for a couple of $100. I'll leave it to Eric. He checks out the container, lets me know it's pretty good. It's got a few leaks. Happy days. It's cheap. He arranges the transport, goes there, meets the tilt truck driver, rings me up. The container's floor is a little bit dodgy. I'm like, is it a container? Does it have 4 walls and a roof? Is it usable? Yes, it is. Great. Bring it on home. And yes, it had 4 walls and a roof. But I open up the doors and I discover I got this shipping container. I didn't pay for it because it's so shit. It basically doesn't have a floor. It's completely rusted out. This is kind of important when it comes to getting a shipping container. So the bloke getting rid of the container, he says, I can't charge him for that. It's basically rubbish. But I figure I've now got a free container. I'll spend a little bit of money. I'll put in a floor. This container can just do the move. We'll pack up the container. I can start packing up the shed, send it to the new place, and then I'll figure out the workshop later. This container could then be a storage backyard shed of sorts. Way cheaper than renting a container and cheaper than hiring a removalist. As much as I'm laughing on the outside, I'm kind of not laughing on the inside, but really, I mean, I've worked with shit shipping pallets all these years. Why not work with a shit shipping container? But I've got to spend about $800 to put this floor in. It's not going to be amazing. It's all going to be out of timber. If only I could weld, that would help. And it's going to take several days and probably a pretty ordinary video. So, that's the plan. I didn't get any more footage from here, unfortunately. Right. Let me show you what I've done with this container. I'll take you inside. All right. So, what we're going to do is, we're just going to chalk this one up as experience. So the decision was made to get rid of that container. We put it on the tilt truck. We took it to the scrap metal yard. And we got a few $100, which paid for that tilt truck. So effectively, I'm in the hole for a couple of $100 for the first tilt tray to bring this thing here. And I guess we could just never talk about this again. Now, this video has a very relevant sponsor, and that is EcoFlow. With extreme weather events on the rise and the cost of electricity going through the roof, homeowners are seeking reliable, flexible energy solutions. Traditional generators often fall short of modern needs due to noise, high maintenance, and rising fuel costs. To address this, EcoFlow expands the Delta 3 series with the Delta 3 Ultra Plus, a flexible, portable home-level power station that grows with your needs and delivers the longest runtime for your most critical devices. While all this has been going on, there's been a heap of other things happening that have been preventing us leaving this place, which I'll get to along the way. You might also be wondering why the CNC is inside the shed and there's a lot of sunlight coming in. I'll get to that at the end of the video. Unless you see another container arrive at this property, despite what you can see here, that'll be the I am definitely moving moment. Okay? So stick with me. Okay, I want to quickly talk about this bottle of glue. A couple of videos ago, at the end of the video, I spoke about how I'm literally using the last bit of glue. There's nothing left in here. My mate Trent saw that and he made a joke about how have you not got any glue? And I replied with, times are tough. Like, I just didn't want to spend any more money on things in here. He kind of took that as I was broke and he bought me a bottle of glue. Yes, I probably was a little bit broke. I just want to say thank you because that glue made all the difference to get this project done and get this video out, which was kind of what he wanted. He said, here's some bloody glue, get in your shed and make something because I want to watch the video. Okay. But along with that, I guess I also want to thank all the people who have become my YouTube members over the years. Lots of people have come and go. And now I only set my memberships at $1.50 and I've got 2 channels. Some people actually chip in the $1.50 on both channels, which is greatly appreciated. And this is not a huge revenue stream, but let's call it 50 to 70 bucks a month. You people have basically been buying my glue for all this time, so I do appreciate it. And if we can put a little analogy on it, you are effectively the glue holding this channel together. It really has helped. That's all I have to say about that. Okay, time to talk about this project a little bit, so we're not all left completely confused. So this glue up I've got going on the table here, this is another technique to creating a part of a piece of furniture that I've made before. I'm trying to do it a little more time efficient, and it's meant to be a little bit more timber efficient. It's not, but it doesn't matter on this one. Effectively, what I'm making is these boxes, and I'm laminating the timber together to have a half flat joint on each corner. That becomes stronger as I laminate together. I'm then going to create several layers of these frames all stacked on top of each other. So the end result is we have this very strong finger joint of sorts on all the corners of this big frame that I'm making. And when I say this project's not super economical on timber, is I'm actually using a CNC to do my cut for me. However, as you're watching along, there are heaps of ways to make this frame, box joints, and waste no timber at all. I'm going for a specific curvy look, and I'm going to have the CNC cut that for me. This project was about doing something that I've already designed before, so there was no brain work involved in this project. And I've also got the CNC cutting a heap of the parts for me. I'm not going to show you all the CNC stuff. I think that's actually a little bit boring to watch. It's all about gluing timber together, turning that timber into something. So that's the reason. That's the ethos of this video. I don't know why I said ethos. Anyway, to backtrack, there is a bit of wastage because of the path that these frames are being cut into. But later on in the video, I actually use some of those scraps and leftovers to build up more layers for further pieces in the project. So I do use up some of that wastage. Where I'm not really brokenhearted about the wastage on this one, again, these were probably some of the worst pallets that I've ever found. What was considered wastage, they went to the dumpster on this one. For me, about to move, there was no point keeping 1,000 little scrap pieces. I've given most of the pallet a new life. The rest of it, it can go back to Mother Earth. The EcoFlow Delta Ultra Plus. Let's talk about what this thing can actually do as I start to clean up the next batch of pallets that I need for this project. You're starting with 3 kilowatt hours of capacity. That's enough to run your fridge for around 12 hours straight, or keep the lights, Wi-Fi, and a TV going for, say, a solid half a day. But the real party trick is that you can expand it, stack on extra batteries, and you go from 3 kilowatt hours all the way up to 11 kilowatt hours. And that's, say, 3 days of typical family use without touching the grid. Output wise, you're getting 3,600 watts rated AC output with a 7,200 watt surge capacity. Now that's important for me, and I'll talk about that at the end. So it handles heavy loads without flinching, microwaves, hair dryers, power tools. It manages most of the things that you need. Not everything in here. Charging is fast. So plugged into the wall, you're hitting 80% in about 75 minutes. You can also pull up to 1,600 watts from solar across the dual ports. If you've got the panels, you're not stuck waiting around. It's also whisper quiet, less than 25 decibels at 600 watts. The battery itself uses EV grade LFP cells with a full tab design that runs cooler and lasts longer. EcoFlow is rating this for 10 years of dependable performance and backing it with a 5-year warranty. Portability is sorted. It's got built-in wheels. It literally looks like a little esky, and a pull-out handle. I've got a link down below that will take you to EcoFlow. Plus there's a list of all the Australian retailers where you can get your hands on one of these as we lead into the end of financial year sales. In the next whatever minutes of footage, I'm basically creating these pieces of stock. They are square, and I need about 17 of them. They are made from an old dining table of ours, which I've repurposed into many things over the years. But from this house, it became little side wings to our barbecue area, and I've been quite brutal throwing things out for this move that might be happening. Foreshadowing. So I nearly threw these boards out. Then I thought, started this project, and I really found that I was running very short of stock. I thought maybe I could use that barbecue area, whip it up, it can be part of this project. So this is what I needed. I didn't quite get to 17. That's why I'm going through this long process of trying to use every single scrap possible, including all these little thin strips to give me the very last piece of timber that I needed. You might not see those layers in the finished product, but that's what I do here. I try and use what I can. And if that means spending more on glue, then that's okay. But you're probably wondering why I'm holding on to this piece when the project is probably finished. After all that, that's because cleaning up the shed, I found this one that had fallen down next to the table saw, which would have been number 17 anyway. There you go. Okay, time to explain what I'm actually building in this video, I think, because I've rambled on enough. About a year ago, I made a deck chair out of deck. And in that video, I joked about making the double-decker version, like out of the Lego movie. Okay, I'm not making the double-decker version, but I am making the two-seater version. You'll start to see this project come together, and I'll explain more about it soon. I also want to talk about the fact that I'm not actually finishing this project. I'm going to leave this thing for raw pine as is, because the project in total is actually unfinished. But I just wanted to highlight that these have been the most crappy pine pallets that I have actually found in a long time. Crappy in their quality, but also crappy in their size, their thickness. And I had to do a lot of things along the way to produce all the stock that was needed to just create this part of the project. And as the project went on, I did more and more different things just to get what I needed, because some of the dimensions of the slats that I needed, there was a lot of offcuts, so there was a lot of wastage, per se, of the pallet, which is fine because they really were ordinary. Net, I've made something cool out of 7 pallets. Back to the finishing process. When we see the beauty shots at the end, you'll see that there's heaps of void spaces, places where moisture can get into this piece of furniture and completely destroy it. But I'm not at all concerned, because eventually this project is going to be completely painted and sealed up. It's not going to be in the weather, but it is going to be outdoors. But paint really is the ultimate king at stopping the moisture. So I'm going to spack fill all the big holes, and then I'm going to paint it eventually. I also actually like how nice this thing just looks as raw pine. Like, sometimes I wish we didn't actually have to finish the project. I like the raw color of the timber, but I know that's not practical. The other thing with this is the pile of hardwood slats that you saw me tape up earlier in the video. I posted something about those, and I had this dude jump on there and give me war and peace why pallets are shit and why you should choose whatever hardwoods and for all the reasons. And I'm like, cool. I really don't get why people that hate pallets feel the need to tell me what's so amazing about their timber, because I'm not in it for using amazing timber. I'm in this for turning old crappy wood into something else that's kind of cool. When we look at this project at the end, let's call it 5 or 6 pallets, no longer look like pallets, and I think that's a cool thing. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, on your woodworking journey, just you do you, make things because they're enjoyable and they give you something. Where you end up, you might end up with the really nice expensive hardwood that you go and purchase and you commission custom furniture. Like, that is great. I would like to see myself doing that one day. In the meantime, this pallet woodworking caper is actually a really great way to learn. And I'm not going to do the whole arguments why you should or shouldn't waste your time with pallets, because I've done that to death, and you probably know my reasons. I'll try and keep this one pretty brief. We've been trying to find a house, and let's just say 3rd time lucky. Now, not because I couldn't get a house, it was more because the sellers have rug pulled me and not sold me their house. The first dude just decided, nah, I don't want to sell this. Okay, we move on to the next one. Second house, 2 sisters, got some financial dispute. One of them never signed the contract. So 3rd time lucky. We have an unconditional contract, but let's just wait for that container to be delivered. I think I'm giving the game away. Look, we've bought a house and we're moving. That's what I'm trying to say. We are moving. I've got a half an acre. I'm going to have a shipping container workshop. It's 40 feet long. It's going to accommodate everything in here. Plus, give me some spaces that I've never had before. But I'm very much looking forward to the challenge of working in a shipping container. Thinking back over my woodworking YouTubing career. I used to watch Wobie design how he worked in that shipping container, and I've always said I want to do that. A 20-foot container is probably going to bring in a little too many frustrations without expanding the thing. But a 40-footer, I think it's going to be pretty amazing. So stay tuned for that. There is going to be probably again a lack of videos flowing regularly. We've got to move. The biggest priority for us as a family is setting up this house, setting up the garage as my wife's new home business, and then I'll be focusing on the workshop, the container, and the videos as we go. I've also just applied for another job, which should make me more of a weekend warrior. I'm staying in the same organization, and I know I've said this before, but this one should give me less shift work, less night shifts, and something else to focus on for a while. So this project, I'm making the 2-seater version. Apparently they are called Darby and Joan. I've known it as a Darby and Joan. My parents had one, my grandparents had one, and now I want one. It's a 2-seater with a table in the middle. For this video, I'm only making one side, so a seat for my wife, because I already have the other deck chair. This one, it has timber from our old dining table, our barbecue area, so it's kind of nice that that timber is now flowing into this chair, and that's going to be a seat for my wife. But what's great about the Darby and Joan, obviously 2-seater, is we can sit and we can chat about life and all the things that we now have to do in the next phase of our life and what's going on. I've been out in this shed for like 8 years, and I've spent a lot of time out here. My wife, very patient and very, very encouraging of what I'm doing. Sometimes there's a little too much focus on the shed, and we all know what that feels like. So I've got better at that with my time. But the workshop is going to be part of our life moving forward. How do I wrap this up? Basically, I want to say thank you to my wife for putting up with all my shit, and I love you. And now, here is a chair, and let's sit down and spend some more time together. Getting towards the end now, so the second arm, which is the smaller arm, which forms step 1 of the little side table. Initially I cut one of those rings with the CNC. You could create that first shape, whatever means you have, but that first one I guess would be your template. Same deal for me. So my first one was my template, then I just started gluing and stacking all of the scraps, still keeping that same sort of principle of the half lap joints where possible to create the overall strength. It might not have been as pretty as the first one, but that's okay. But then I just got to move into the real woodworky stuff, like using my router table and that really big helical router cutter head. At a glance, kind of scares people, but the more and more I've used it, I actually prefer it, and it's more safe than the smaller bits because it's so robust with a really nice motor in that router table. The thing is, you don't want to be routing away massive amounts of timber. You just want to be taking off a flush trim suitable amount. But what I did do, and this is just for demonstration purposes, please, it is just for demonstration purposes. I want to show you how amazing this bit actually is. Now keep in mind, this is just pine, but I'm going to literally cut all that excess off with this router bit just to show you how amazing it is. It did come to a grinding halt, and I thought, I've killed my router. Good one. Fired it up again, so I thought, happy days. It then stopped again, and I went, okay, I'm not going to push it. But then I also just realized that I had overloaded the EcoFlow battery. So the router and the CNC and all the things are still running off the battery, but that surge power is what caused the trip. So I switched the router over to the 240 volt, and I actually used that router to clean up that whole first piece. After that particular one, I got a bit smarter with the bits I glued on, so there wasn't as much to clean up, and that was really cool. Very much on the home stretch, so a little bit of joinery. Not the greatest joinery, but again, a few little gaps isn't going to bother me. I'm going to fill up those with whatever means necessary, and the thing is all going to be painted and nicely sealed up. But again, using the big router table to put these massive roundovers on it, it's really enjoyable woodwork. So it was kind of a nice way to finish off in the shed with just some real woodworky goodness. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was just good fun. Now, sprinkled through this video, there has been lots of random little thank yous along the way, but I think one of the biggest thank you really needs to go to everyone who actually tunes in and watches my videos. Not just liking and subscribing and all those good things, but the people who actually take the time, to watch that video and enjoy the video. The more you watch, the more it gets pushed out there for more people to see. It is the one thing that makes a video do well, and when videos do well, it makes all these things possible for people like me to put the time and energy into it. So if you've been here for a long time, thank you very much. If you're new here, I hope you enjoy it. You're coming in at a time where this shed will be no more, and I'm gonna start a whole new chapter, if you will. And I'm very excited. So the channel is going to be very similar. It's just going to be in a new space. But what I'm trying to put out there to the world is hopefully going to be portrayed the same way at the next workshop as well. So thank you very much. So keep watching, don't skip forward. Don't even skip the ads. And even when we get to the end of the video, just slide it back to the start and let it run again. Okay. So last little quick word on the EcoFlow and my use that I've been smashing it on this project. The EcoFlow does come with the little smart app which tells you exactly where the energy is coming from and how it's being used. It's very clever, I like it. So for me in this video, I've been using the EcoFlow as much as possible. I was running the CNC, the thicknesser, the laptop, or the router table, depending on what I was doing at the time. When I first reached out to EcoFlow and I noticed that it had a 15 amp plug, I thought, cool, I could probably run my table saw. The reality is it can, but it can't. So I got a 3 horsepower table saw, and it's not so much the amperage, it's the surge capacity. And I'm no electrician, but my particular table saw surges up to 14,000 whatever watts they're called, which is double the surge capacity of the EcoFlow. So the solution is you can actually put in a inline soft start for those high draw appliances like a table saw. But then speaking to an electrician, the reality is once I'd done that, the power of the saw would run the battery down in about an hour. So, and I don't think it would be able to get topped up with the solar. The plan for me will, at the next place, will just be to run a heavy duty 15 amp extension lead to power the table saw. And I'm gonna have the EcoFlow battery power up as much of the other stuff as possible, just so I don't have to outlay all the costs of setting this workshop up with the full grid power solution. And also don't have the time. So this battery is gonna get me into the game and help me make some projects and some videos. Okay, so thank you very much, EcoFlow. Very much appreciated. Half of a 2-seater deck chair made of pallets. Just got to cut that one and we're done. One more cut. One more cut. And I'm calling it. That's it for the shed. So the shipping container, the 40-footer, it is here. And I am very excited. So I've been looking for a shipping container for some time, and if you have been delving into the shipping container world, you'll know that there is heaps of scams out there. It's like the pet scams of the 2020s, if you know what I'm saying. So to be able to find someone local where you could physically go and look at the container and transact with a real human was a bit of a bonus. Now, this shipping container is single use. It's effectively brand new. So this container is from Townsville's Sahara Trailers, and if you are looking at getting yourself a shipping container workshop, or you want to convert a tiny home or build a full-size home, getting these things brand new effectively from a reputable dealer is the way to go. I basically introduced myself and I proposed and asked very nicely if they would like to give me a bit of a hairy discount in exchange for actually doing some shout outs for their local business. So they agreed. So thanks very much. I'm going to tell you a lot more about Townsville's Sahara Trailers in one of my future videos. It's been emotional, peoples. It's been emotional. Right. Just going to move the camera over here for the final time. I thought it'd be more appropriate to see one of my favorite pieces. It's been in a lot of videos and I've done all my talking generally standing in front of this because I love the message. But yeah, this is not the end of the channel. We're just moving. A lot has happened out here and I'm I'm looking forward to kicking it off again very soon. Once again, thanks very much for sticking with me. Greatly appreciated, and I'm looking forward to doing a heap more. Okay? Catch you later.